Welcome to the Body Talks podcast with me, Dr. Brook. I'm a chiropractor extraordinaire who speaks the language of the body, not to be confused with body language. Join me on this show as I disrupt current beliefs about where health comes from and how you can discover your greatest health potential without having to spend hours away from your life's work in order to do so. Because reaching these levels of health is possible once you learn how to carry on a dialogue with the greatest creation to ever exist, the human body. By tuning into the whispers your body speaks and addressing them, you avoid the potential damage that is created when the body begins to scream, allowing you to experience healing in a whole new way. This show will guide you towards true health so you can continue to change the world. Your body holds the answers. I'm here to help you discover them on the Body Talks podcast, starting now. Welcome to yet another episode of the Body Talks podcast. I'm Dr. Brook, your podcast host. And as I always ask, are you listening? Are you listening to those whispers your body is speaking? I'm very excited to share with you today some people who have become dear friends of mine over this past year and some patients that I've been working with. And we're going to be talking about their story specifically with their son. And without further ado, I just want to introduce Ashley and Dustin. Thank you guys so much for being here.
Thanks for having us, Brooke.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. So as we were talking in the pre-record, your son Logan has been a patient of mine for maybe since June of this year. So the last couple months or so. And can you just take the Logans Story back a little bit for our listeners to kind of understand where he was before him and I started working together?
Yeah, absolutely. So when he was about just actually shy of 3, probably maybe we're closer to 2, we started noticing that he wasn't doing the normal babbling. He would babble, but he wasn't talking, right? Like how that progresses. He just kind of had stopped. It was more just, I don't know, what would you say?
I mean, you could see a light, but it just wasn't very bright.
Yeah, that's the best way I think we describe it, that he just was not expressing himself fully, and so there were a lot of things that ended up with us getting some services here that are in our state and available. So we started on that path, and then the practitioners that we were working with were suggesting things that might be possibly happening for Logan or diagnosis. So that's when I don't like to be told there's a no and that I have to stop here. I'm going to keep going. Like, don't tell me that this is the end, right? So, or this is what my diagnosis is and here you go. So,
good for you, Mama.
So I actually had worked with a client who I got in contact with a naturopathic doctor. And so we worked with that doctor for quite some time. It was a long list of supplements and stuff that we had worked with, and we would see little bits of progress. And she was wonderful. It just was, I knew when I got to a certain point, I worked with our mutual friend Cornelia, and I said, I know something else. There's something else. There's another part. Well, then all of a sudden, I think it probably was maybe like 3 months later, she sends me this podcast. She goes, this is it. This is it for you. You got to check it out. This is Dr. Brook. And this was one of your first podcasts. I can't remember what your mentor's name is, but you had a podcast with him. And he said, one of my favorite things, you asked him, what was one of the favorite things he did? And he said, working with autistic children and helping them heal and seeing them grow. And I was like, all right, I just had a feeling, when you just get that feeling in your soul. And I was like, that's it. I'm going to I reached out literally as soon as I watched it, I reached out. I said, what do I need to do? Where can I see you? We're ready. Right. So that's where we got started. And since we've been working with you, that has been, I think, our biggest jump in progress that we've seen. Talking, more eye contact, like he's just turned and his light is so bright. So we're just so thankful.
And you mentioned he was 2 years old at the time. How old is Logan now?
Logan will be 5 in December.
Perfect. Oh,
yeah.
Yes. And I'm on the West Coast. You
East
guys are on the East Coast. We've
Yep.
been working remotely, doing telehealth.
Yeah.
And, over the course of, I think when I had talked to you, I was like, it's going to be about 3 months before we can kind of see like any substantial changes. And it was almost like he was experiencing changes like immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And without going too much into the actual plan of action that we took, just for HIPAA purposes,
Right.
patient-doctor confidentiality, there was a lot of stuff that we took him off of.
Yeah.
A lot of supplements that he came off of, and very specific supplements he went on in very specific doses. If you've heard any of my prior episodes, if you haven't, check out episode 6 when I do talk about supplements and why over supplementing is not a good thing and under supplementing is not a good thing. And I don't care if they're high or low quality supplements. If you're not taking what the body actually physically needs in those moment of time, you're only causing the body more stress. And, naturopathic doctors are incredible in the work that they do. And, from a functional standpoint, and they're looking at all these things. But the one differentiator that I believe from a DSA, dynamic system analysis practitioner, and a naturopath is that they are looking at every single marker on a blood panel, or they're running tests to get like stool samples. And wherever there is quote unquote points of weakness, they are prescribing, quote unquote prescribing. They don't actually prescribe, but they prescribing nutraceuticals, what I call nutraceuticals, a lot of natural supplements, a lot of, regiments of, every 30 minutes, you got to take this and do this dance. And, and it's a lot of work. You're like charting everything and doing all this work.
Mm-hmm.
And the difference is, okay, yes, there's a lot of stress points according to the labs. There's, holes in what they look at as, the body not being able to do its work. The way that I see things is, sure, there's all of these things going on, but what is the priority? Because the body is so intelligent. It doesn't need us to try to patch up every hole. What it needs us to do is just handle what it's like looking at as a priority, address that, and it will do the rest of the work at patching those holes. And so that is what was so beautiful in working with Logan, is really getting to see, my doctor brain would be like, okay, when I'm talking to you and Dustin and we're kind of analyzing what was happening, my doctor brain would go, okay, this is what must be going on. This is what must be happening. I think, Ashley, I told you even in one of our first conversations that I'm like, his barriers must be open. The gut, lung, and brain barrier must be open. And that's compromising his system. When I did my work, that didn't even come up at all. His body was like, nope, this is what I need. And it's so fascinating. It makes me like smile a lot. And I get really excited about this because it's like a lot of times I think it's something and the body's like, no, just listen to me. Like, I'll tell you what it is.
Yeah.
So that's like, I love it. I love it. I love it. So can you, do you have anything to add before I like jump into the next thing?
No, just where you left, you were like at that part where you said we would probably see some significant changes within 3 months. And it was not even like, it was so quick. I just wanted to reiterate that how quickly we did start seeing changes, and it was amazing. So,
oh yeah.
The changes that other people see, right?
Yeah.
When people, when you're with him every day, or she spends most of the time with him, she doesn't see, and I don't see a lot of times the bigger steps, right? But it's when other people see him, or he hasn't seen somebody for a while, or, once summer kind of hit and we were back there at the pool and things like that, like people were just
commenting on it,
just like, oh my gosh,
how different he
like,
was.
It's like a bonfire. Like there was this smolder for a while, right? And there was a little bit of smoke, and then all of a sudden just bam, like it took off. And he's just like on this roller coaster now, just climbing.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. It just like so lights me up inside. That's amazing. So amazing. And just, yeah, wow. So on that note, like, can you guys share any like specific things in terms of, so yes, you saw him like lighting up and other people saw changes with him, more drastic. How was he interacting with people in his world? Like, what was he doing?
He's always been like a loving child. Like he's always been affectionate. He's always been just like, he's just a little cuddle buddy. Like he's always been that way. So I want to say that, but it's different. It's a different type of connection. And he is, sorry, our shepherd.
No,
our dog. But anyway, he is very, his connection is just, it's different. I don't know how to explain it. And he's connecting with other people and other children. He's excited with other kids. And that was something like we have 2 other children, and he would kind of play with them, but not into the degree where he wants to be in it. He's giggling when they're giggling and running and being silly. Like he wants in that, and talking, his communication for me, like he's really communicating his needs. And that's even necessarily more recently, like putting together words, I want, and he'll say what he wants, like it's just amazing.
I think one of the biggest things I saw is I took him, the kids were swimming, and I took him to the playground for a little bit, and there were other kids that were kind of like on the playground, right? And I was standing there talking to another dad, and he comes over and gives that guy a big hug, and then goes off and plays. And it's just very like he's constantly like, he knows no stranger, right? And to me but there were some kids, a little group of girls came over and sat at one of the picnic tables, and he was up on the slide, and he kind of looked over there and became interested in what they were doing. So he came down off the playground and went over there and actually sat at and the girls know him from the pool. So they they know Logan, right? And he's just kind of sitting there on the park bench or in the picnic table, just watching what they're doing, very interested in his world's expanding rapidly. Like he's seeing things, or things off in a distance, and we'll call it out and things like that. But just watching him take interest in what those other little girls were doing at the table was huge. I'd never seen him do that before.
The awareness of other things, because before he was very much like I said, he's loving, but like at school, he would be fine to go and play by himself.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. Now he's more interested in what the other kids are doing
in connection.
Yeah.
He had a very tight 3-foot world, right? And so we kind of equate things, right? He had this 3-foot world. Well, now this world is 12 feet and 15 feet, and it's growing by things that he sees off in the distance, or making comments, or, he's very good about starting to show his emotion. Like, if he's mad or doesn't like something, or moves on to this, or when he wants something, that world is expanding rapidly for him. And it's funny to watch him process all that and just try to take it all in.
That's so exciting. So exciting. So for those people who may be watching or listening that are unfamiliar with my work and how I do my telehealth, essentially, without getting a lot of woo-woo in here, and that's the question I was going to ask Ashley and Dustin about as well. So we'll get to that in a minute. But it entails really looking at what the body is asking for. And, if there's a chiropractic adjustment that's needed, I let the parents know or the patient know, hey, it would be, really beneficial to get these adjustments. These bones are out in your spine. This needs to happen, as well as, some reflex points or different points on the body that need attention, right? Our body is full of different points. It's like a big, huge map. And if you address those different points or stress points, a lot of times, the body is just like, okay, thank you. But anyways, I wanted to briefly ask, because part of Logan's plan included some chiropractic adjustments that he needed. How was that experience, and what was that like?
Well, every time will say this, every time I take the information that you share, I share it we have an OT that he sees weekly, and then we have a chiropractor, and they both are always in awe. They're like, well, Kathy, our OT, is always like, that's exactly like this connects to this. Like she's like talking about why, if that's out, this is connecting to this speech or this, so she's always like loves the information. And then our chiropractors always does her adjustment. And she's like, yep, she was right. I don't know how she does it, but she's right. She just spot on, So it just not that I ever felt, but it's just like that solidification, like, yes, we're on the path. We're on the right path. Everybody's like working together. It's like his team, his dream team.
Right. Oh, I love it. So on that note, though, was there any sense of apprehension because we were working from afar, right? 3,000 miles distance between us. Was there any apprehension? No.
No.
Of us, working together and doing that?
Not at all. Not at all. And like I said, I had really been looking for what our next steps were. I knew that and it just when something that you feel is right comes in your path, you just know it. And
Yeah.
I knew that this was the next step for me. So
Dustin, what were your thoughts when Ashley told you that?
It's, you just want to, our goal is Logan to be the best version of Logan. She says it all the time. It's like, whatever that path is, it's 100%. We're going to put everything we can into it. Right. And, we went with the supplement routes and things like that. But I know the first time that we talked, over the phone, and I told Ashley, we got to hang up the phone. I was like, it's the first time that somebody grasped or the sincerity of what they are trying to do. It was just like something clicked, and I think that whether it was down the street or 3,000 miles away, it would have been the same, and we're very appreciative of you coming into our lives and where we're at in this path. And I know when I told her when we got the phone, I was like, I think we found it. You know what I'm saying? And that to me, it was a peace of mind that is hard to find in this world right now. So,
Definitely.
He's like your number one fan. He's like, loves Dr. Brook. He's like, just because, not anything against like the path we were doing, because that all got us progress. It just, I knew there was time for the next jump,
Right.
But he's like, this just feels right. I just love what she's doing, and you really get it. And so it just has been wonderful.
I mean, that is truly the beauty, like of having a skill set in the ability of quote unquote speaking to the body, right? Communicating with the body in a way that it actually understands. So much of our, like what we are taught in society is we need to learn how to communicate with humanity. We need to learn how to talk to each other. And so you go through marriage counseling, or you do all these, counseling individually, and it's all about communication. Communication is key. But we have never truly developed an understanding of how to communicate with our body. And I feel like so much of healthcare has become about just kind of throwing stuff up on a wall and maybe something will stick. Oh, you got, tingling feet, take this, do this, and then it causes something else, or it doesn't resolve your problem, or, and we're always constantly trying to find the shiny like object, when in reality, all the answers are within. And so, it's a lot of the, like, to talk about it just briefly a little bit more, it's that work that I do in communicating with the body and acting as a translator. So I'm speaking to Logan's body and saying, what is it that you need? Like, okay, mom and dad did all of this. Like, what is really going on? Like, where are we at? Like, what needs to be refined? Because there was a lot of progress that was being made. And then communicating that back and saying this, and this. And the wonderful thing is you guys didn't have any hesitation or any sort of feelings of like, what is she doing? Like, I know, like, this just sounds too crazy. Like, we're 3,000 miles away. What do you mean she's like on Zoom and telling me that he needs to do this, and rub these points on his body and take these supplements and go to the chiropractor? That just sounds too woo-woo. And if that is anybody that's listening right now and feeling and thinking that, I would challenge you to really look past a lot of that, the resistance that you're feeling, and take a chance. Like if you've gone to many different practitioners and you're doing so many different things and there's not a lot of progress, I challenge you like to see what small little things like Ashley and Dustin's treatment plan or wellness plan for Logan wasn't a 500-page dissertation. Like, it was a sheet of paper with YouTube links.
It's broken down so thoroughly too, Brooke. It's like just so easy to follow. Like, this is for this is for like,
you
do a great job with that. Sorry.
And so it was great. Like, Dustin,
it's super simple to follow too. I mean, especially for me. So. I look at it and say, okay, what's the supplement for this go around? What's the dosage? Like, let's go,
Right.
And it just, like you said, anybody that worries about the Zoom or the progress we've seen, if those sheets had go run around the driveway in the rain on 1 foot, I'm going to be out there doing it. I mean, just because of what we've seen. And,
right.
And it's very easy to follow and is working. And
And that's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, because it does work and it is very simple. And we get so caught up on, we get these chronic conditions or these things that we've been dealing with for years, and we literally think that it should be way more complicated to unravel. And it's not complicated to unravel. It's very simple. And, and we just have to learn to embrace the fact that the body is more intelligent and like more adaptable than we will ever understand. I don't care how many scientists they have on every single project, doing the brain, doing the liver, doing this, doing that. The body will continue to, shine some little light here and there. But once you address it in the way that it wants to be addressed, everything else
takes off.
So totally.
Yeah, we witnessed that for sure.
Yeah. And you guys are such a beautiful success story. And I love working with you both. And I love, getting to see and hear about Logan's progress and just how everything is just unfolding, and just the beautiful expression that he is and will continue to be. Dustin used that, 3 foot, 12 foot. And I love it because it's continuing to expand outward. And it gives me chills. Like I have chills sitting right here. So, is there any last things or any last words that you would like to say for maybe parents or people that might be, considering possibly doing some dynamic system analysis work for themselves or their family, or, just any last words you want to share in general?
I think that if you've been searching and you see this is your sign. That's how I took it, because I saw your interview. And like I said, I knew at that minute, it was like, This is, what is it if you just try it? What's it going to be? You're either going to see the progress or, maybe you are just staying where you are. But I don't regret for a minute. I am just so glad we found you. And I know, I could say, gee, I wish I found you sooner, but I know that this was the timing. And I just would encourage people highly, if they're struggling and they need help and their body needs help, then this is the way to go.
I leave like this. Trust the process.
Yeah.
Trust the process, because it's there for a reason. We're in a world where we think we need instant results, and that's not how the human body works or how we need to look at this. And, it's every day is a new aha moment, or something that like, did he just do that? So I was like this, if anybody sits in doubts, just trust the process, because it's working, and that's it. And just trust the process.
Thank you both so much. I greatly appreciate your time today.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for all you do.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Body Talks podcast with me, Dr. Brook Sheehan, where you're learning to pay close attention to the whispers your body is speaking, so you can live a life fully expressed physically, spiritually, mentally, and emotionally, without spending time and money on healthy items that aren't right for you. You're uniquely made, and your healthcare needs should reflect that. To learn more or how you can work with me, visit drbrooksheehan.com. That's Brook without an E, and discover your answers today.